remember like it was yesterday, the day I escaped North Korea. My country is still divided. The world is still divided.
Were sent to hospital Saturday, dozens of others.
Now, Mother's interpretation of her calling is not within what we call the norm. Mother's interpretation of her calling is that she is the only begotten daughter. But you don't judge a tree by its branches, and you don't judge a tree by its leaves. You judge a tree by its fruit, and there's nobody in here that can deny the significance of the fruit that we have seen exhibited by her response to her calling. When I announced the first visit of True Mother, I told my church about the great work she is doing for humanity, and that is why I have embraced it. It's time that we come together as one family under God and transform our communities and transform our world around us and bring our worlds closer together.
This road toward peace hasn't been easy. And yet, I believe together we can build God's family.
It is now time to welcome the host of the series of Rally Boat events worldwide for the realization of the heavenly unified world, the Mother of Peace, the co-founder of the Universal Peace Federation, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, the co-founder of the Universal Peace Federation, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, the Mother of Peace, with a heartfelt round of applause. First, let us listen to the excerpts of her message in the previous Rally of Hope events.
본래 창조주께서는 당신의 꿈을 지상에서 자녀들과 함께 지상 천국을 이루려 하셨습니다. 그러나 예상치 못한 인간의 타락은 오늘날과 같은 전쟁의 역사로 점철돼 나왔습니다. 그러나 타락하지 않은 만물 세계는 창조의 순리대로 나오고 있습니다. 인간이 타락해서 잘못되었다 했습니다. 잘못된 인간에게는 창조주와의 관계가 없다는 얘기입니다. 길은 하나입니다. 하늘 부모님을 모시고 하나 되는 길밖에 없습니다. 창조주께서는 우리의 부모이십니다. 그동안 부모를 몰라보고 불효한 인류입니다. 이 불효한 인류 앞에 참 부모가 나타나 다시 거듭나는 축복 행사를 통하여 하늘 부모님의 자녀로 입적시켜주는 것이 축복운동입니다. 공생, 공용, 공의. 통일된 인류 한 가족의 공동체. 중심에 하늘 부모님이 계시면 모든 문제가 해결됩니다. 그러나 오늘의 세계는 이기주의, 민족주의, 하늘과는 먼 관계의 기관이나 조직들이 많이 있습니다. 오늘 이 나라뿐만 아니라 전 세계 모든 나라들이 인간의 무지로 인해서 기후변화를 만들어냈습니다. 코로나로 인해서 많은 사상자를 내고 있습니다. 서로 소통하는 길이 막혔습니다. 거기다가 천재지변으로 집중호우로 인해 많은 사상자와 이재민이 나왔습니다. 이것 어떻게 생각하십니까? 하늘은 창조주 하나님은 사랑이시라 했습니다. 우리의 부모라 했습니다. 자식의 죽어가는 모습을 보는 부모의 심정이 어떻겠습니까? 이러한 하늘 앞에 충과 효를 다하는 효선 민족으로서 세계의 모든 나라들 앞에 하늘 부모님을 이렇게 모시는 백성과 나라들이 되어야 됨을 교육하는 오늘 이 시간이 되기를 간절히 소원하며 축복하는 바입니다. 감사합니다. 오늘을 살고 있는 인류는 더 이상의 분열과 하나 될 수 없는 욕심을 버려야 합니다. 인간 중심으로는 해결할 수 있는 방법이 없기에 하늘의 음성을 들어야 할 것입니다. 창조주께서는 우리의 부모이십니다. 이제라도 정신을 차리고 부모님을 찾고 만나야만 인류의 미래가 있고 지구의 미래도 있는 것입니다. 얼마나 기다렸는가? 우리는 그동안 자연에 대해서 너무 관리를 잘 못했습니다. 나는 우리 강산이 세계 모든 나라들이 자연과 더불어 행복하게 살 수 있는 지상 천국을 여러분의 지도자와 함께 만들어 나갈 수 있기를 간절히 바랍니다. 어떻게 세계에 알려지지 않은 작은 나라의 동란에 유엔의 16개국이 참전할 수 있었을까요? 더더구나 그때 참전하는 용사들은 대부분이 10대, 20대 연령으로 알고 있습니다. 인간 가운데 있어서 가장 순수하고 순결된 하늘이 사랑하는 아들, 딸인 것입니다. 그들이 무슨 바람에 의해서 두려움 없이 한국의 평화를 위해서, 세계 평화를 위해서 나섰다고 보십니까? 이것 하나만 보더라도 창조주 하나님은 우리와 함께 하고 계십니다. 1950년에 참전했던 용사들께서는 이제 고령입니다. 남아있는 분들도 80, 90을 바라보는 그러한 자리에 있으니 그들이 소원했던 것도 통일 한국이었습니다. 그래서 나는 더 늦기 전에 그들의 이름 한 분 한 분을 영원히 기록될 수 있게 만들고 싶습니다. 세계의 모든 인류가, 모든 국가가 하늘 부모님 아래 인류 한 가족, 아들, 딸이 된다면은 지금 벌어지고 있는 문제가 문제일 수가 없습니다.
And now, to read the special address of the founder of the Universal Peace Federation, Dr. Hatcha Hagwood, let us welcome on stage the chairman of the National Assembly of the Asia-Pacific region of Father and Mother Moon's Worldwide Movement and the co-chair of the Universal Peace Federation in Asia-Pacific, Dr. Robert S. Kippel.
Founders Special Address, Rally of Hope, Philippines, February 6, 2021. Dr. Hakchahan Moon. Respected leaders and representatives of all sectors of society in the Philippines and throughout the world, I give you my warmest greetings. We are here to celebrate the Rally of Hope, Philippines. Last year, in addition to the World Summit 2020 held in Korea in February, I personally conducted 4 virtual rallies of hope throughout the world. Those rallies of hope online events provided a breath of fresh air for a world that was beset by global pandemic, natural calamities, and conflicts, where social divisions were rising. There were current and former heads of state speaking, along with renowned religious leaders representing various faiths and traditions. They encouraged us to move forward, saying the Universal Peace Federation has a role to play in helping address our current crisis. Literally, hundreds of millions of people were touched by these rallies. I was reassured and humbled by the unprecedented results and the favorable responses we received. There is no better time for a rally of hope than now, especially as we are commencing this new year. Carrying the same goals for humanity, more rallies of hope on the regional and national levels will be convened. The Philippine Rally of Hope serves as the kickoff for all of these rallies planned this year. Last November, I held a rally of hope in commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the Korean War. We remembered the bravery and sacrifice offered by young soldiers who came to defend our homeland in Korea. The Philippines was the first Asian nation to heed the call of the United Nations and immediately send troops to Korea to defend against the invasion from the north. As a Korean, I am deeply and eternally grateful. We will never forget your sacrifice. The UN troops freed my husband from certain death in a communist prison. For me, I was a homeless refugee at the age of 5 years old and escaped to safety in the South, protected by the UN forces from 16 nations. When I look at the Rally of Hope in the Philippines, I can see three important components. First, I commend the resolution of this rally that calls for the necessity of strengthening the foundation for character education for youth and to build stable, loving families. I thank President Duterte for his message supporting the Rally of Hope and emphasizing the vital role of leaders and citizens alike to work together in order to build a strong and empowered global community that upholds the best interests of future generations. Second, last year, the Philippines was embattled by a series of strong typhoons. When I heard about the news of many people displaced from their homes and in difficulties, I immediately sent a donation in order to alleviate the burden of these affected families. I am pleased to know that through this Rally of Hope, people are extending their hands to those people who desperately need more support through the online donation campaign. This is what I and my husband have advocated through our lives, the fundamental principle of living for the sake of others. It is in an environment of giving that our Heavenly Parent can pour out His blessing. Third, part of this event is the declaration of support for replenishing the earth with a 1 billion tree planting and growing project. I have often underscored the significance of addressing the effect of climate change. As stewards of the earth, humanity has a shared responsibility to ensure its preservation for the sake of future generations. These three projects are like the three great blessings that God gave our first human ancestors. In the Bible, Genesis 1:28, God blessed Adam and Eve and told them to be fruitful, to multiply and fill the earth and have dominion over everything. This was God's original purpose and ideal for creating us as His children. The first project, the Rally of Hope resolution, is like the first blessing, where individuals mature their character to be in the image of God, centered on living for others, especially for future generations. The second project is like the second blessing, where we come together as a family to help one another in times of need as true brothers and sisters. The third project is like the third blessing, where we become responsible stewards of God's creation. This means the Philippine Rally of Hope is centered on the original ideal of creation, the three great blessings, which God, our Heavenly Parent, gave us at the beginning of human history. Philippines is a Christian nation with a strong Muslim population in the South. Please work together as brothers and find common values to enrich one another and include the indigenous people too. That model can be shared throughout the Asia-Pacific region and even globally. In my addresses to world leaders, I have always emphasized that our current problems come from a broken relationship with God, our Heavenly Parent. We need a living relationship with God. The pandemic, the economic crisis, social conflict, broken families, these are symptoms. The root cause of our problems is a broken relationship with God, our Creator and original Parent. We need to understand His unchanging principles that operate throughout the entire universe. We need to know the purpose, reason, and heart why we were created, especially the heart behind God creating us in His own image. In order to come back to our Heavenly Parent, we need to change our hearts. That's why I am so happy with the theme of this rally in the Philippines. Quote, 1 million people praying for the healing of the nation and the world, end quote. This is exactly what is needed. We need humility. We need prayer. We need to look at ourselves first and ask, what must I change inside myself? We need to look at others and ask, what can I forgive in them? From an early age, I knew that God was my Father. It was not a concept. It was a relationship that I had with God. He comforted me and told me that I was his begotten daughter. I believed it with all my heart and every cell of my body. It protected me in times of difficulty. It nurtured me when I was suffering. I pray that all women should become begotten daughters of God, and all men should be begotten sons of God. This change can come most easily and fully through the interfaith marriage blessing that my husband and I are conducting all over the world, across all continents, in all cultures. There is no better way. My husband and I were called by God to be that first couple, to guide other families, societies, and nations back to God. A God-centered family was the original ideal in the Garden of Eden. And from that heavenly seed can grow societies, nations, and a heavenly unified world. May God bless you, your families, and the work that you are doing in the Philippines. Thank you for your kind attention.
I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a hero's welcome will be waiting for me, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, "This is where I'm meant to be. I'll be there someday. I can go the distance. I will find my way. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. When I go the distance, I'll be